Good night, everyone. This is update for May 5, 2022, day 71 of the war, end of the date update. We're going to start with a strategic question today, with a strategic part, as we always do. And today we decided to look at all Russian available mechanized brigades that the Russian army has. And you can see here, this is a list that we came up with. All of the brigades that the Russian mechanized, we want to specifically say this mechanized brigades. We plan to look at tank units tomorrow, and then naval infantry brigades the day after tomorrow. But today we're starting with the mechanized brigades because they are the most numerous type of unit, essentially backbone of the Russian army. So they have 33. We were able to identify 33 brigades, and specifically we want to mention two brigades: 4th military camp and the 7th military camp. They are brigade-size units, so we were able to confirm that. And as we all know, they are deployed in Ukraine. So now, then we're gonna look at what's being currently used or used in the past. So you can see this is Kiev East Group, which had 5 brigades. Then Izyum Bridgehead Group, which has 4 brigades currently. Then we have 1 brigade that we are not sure where it's being used before, but it looks like it's out of Ukraine at this point, this brigade for 64th. And then other locations throughout Ukraine. So we have 6 more brigades. So that leaves us with 17 uncommitted mechanized brigades that Russian General Command has in their back pocket. This is actually a little surprises us because we saw that they used more of their brigades than actually that there are fewer than 17 brigades left to be used. So that actually surprises us that there is not much stronger push and more deployment of more brigades to complete this encirclement of Ukrainian troops in the Donbass salient here. Actually, let's look at the real map. So basically, it's clearly that the Russian attack from the north and from the south are bogged down and stalled completely at this point by Ukrainian forces. So we are not clear either they, decided to keep these brigades in their back pocket, the 17 brigades that they still have, that they were not used in the war in Ukraine at all, or there are some other plans. But just this is another kind of food for thought for everyone. Everyone's comments are more than welcome in the comment section. Just your thoughts always helpful to us. So having discussed this strategic issue, now let's do our usual walkthrough through the front line, and we're gonna do it in a clockwise fashion as we always do, and we're gonna start with Kharkiv. So in Kharkiv we have little news here. We confirmed that 72nd Brigade is now operating here, somewhere in this area. We don't know exactly where. Might be just on the western side of Siverskiy Donets, but that's our best guess. And they attacked Russian positions of 138th Brigade today, and had small success by capturing 3 villages. We assume it's somewhere here. It's also totally possible that they are fighting in this area. We don't have complete information at this point. All we know that the 72nd Brigade is deployed somewhere in this area. So beyond this, there is no changes here. Situation is sort of stable after fighting for past several days and gains from Ukrainian side. Okay, let's keep going. We're gonna look at the northern pincer of the Russian attempt to encircle Ukrainian troops in the Donbass salient. We're gonna look at the Izyum bridgehead specifically here. So what we're hearing, and this is coming from the Ukrainian side, is that units of 106th Airborne Division were pulled out, and the same goes true for their 4th tank division. This is sort of not surprises us. We had suspicion for a while that some of these units are not there, and mostly what's being driving Russian attack here are these 4 fresh brigades, and maybe sort of leftover from the from the tank divisions, but we don't know what's left out of this initial forces that were here. Overall, the situation here is stable, no changes. Russian side did not make any gains on the Izyum bridgehead. Now let's move to Lyman bridgehead. And the same situation is here, no new information, no new progress on the Russian side. What we kind of thinking at this point that 128th Brigade was completely pulled out of here and was completely moved to Zaporizhzhia front line, and it was replaced by 79th Brigade, and we'll explain a little bit later our thinking on this. But otherwise, situation here seems to be stable. We don't think that Ukrainian side will be able to, in the long run, to hold this bridgehead. It's a question just of time before they will lose this bridgehead. And let's keep going. We're gonna look at the tip of the Donbass salient, and we're gonna look at the town of Severodonetsk and Rubizhne, where our assessment is that Ukrainian forces completely lost control of the town of Rubizhne. They were squeezed out, and what happened is there was fighting in this village called Voyevodivka, which is squeezed between town of Rubizhne and then Severodonetsk. It's kind of like in between. And this village changed hands today several times. Last news is it was in Ukrainian hands, but they don't hold it in a stable way. So it's totally possible that tomorrow morning it's going to be in Russian hands. So it's just situation here is very, very fluid and unstable. We're going to actually look a little bit more. So what happened today is that Russian troops cleared out this pine forest around here that was still controlled by Ukrainian side, and then they actually managed to capture this village, but then Ukrainian side managed to sort of drive Russian forces out, and they hold it, but it doesn't seem that Ukrainian forces will be able to hold it for much longer. We're also finding out, which is really a surprise to us, that there is Ukrainian troops in the village of Borovenki. This might be false information, but we just want to share that potential, which obviously this unit here could be easily encircled. So this could be totally wrong information. Let's keep going. Let's look at the situation near Popasna, which is a town a little bit south of Severodonetsk, and this is another place where Russian forces putting a lot of effort. And as we mentioned before, the driving force here is Wagner mercenaries and 57 Brigade. There's no progress here. Essentially, the town is about 40 to 50% controlled by Ukrainian forces and at least 50 to 60% controlled by Russian forces, but there is no changes here. Let's keep going. We're going to look at the situation straight west of Donetsk, where the Russian forces made small progress today. They captured a village called Troitsky, which was essentially on the front line. So it's really tiny, minor progress here. And then now we're going to mention, because 79th Brigade used to be here, we believe because it was pulled out to a Lyman bridgehead, then the density of Ukrainian forces, decreased here, and the ability to defend obviously as well. So this might explain why the Russian forces managed to capture this small village called Troitsky here. It's nothing major, but it just kind of tells you that once you pull out strong unit and the rest of the units have to stretch their front line. Ability to defend obviously diminishes, which obviously logical conclusion. There is nothing new here. Otherwise, nothing new here. The stable, continuous attacks, artillery shelling, but really no major progress here. Also, we confirmed that 3rd Brigade is a part of the army, 1st Army Corps, and this unit's not to be confused with the regular Russian army. This is kind of like a separate system in a way, the 1st and 2nd Army Corps. So we still have not confirmed 9th Brigade if this is actually indeed part of the 1st Army Corps. And we also confirmed that the 3rd Brigade is fighting here near Avdiivka, and the 100th Brigade here attacking Mariinka. So let's keep going. Let's actually look at the situation at the Zaporizhzhia front line. And we're really going to focus on the eastern stretch of it, which is the most dangerous section of it. And there is not much going on in the western section. So let's look here. So finally, Russian advance was stopped with the help of 128th Brigade and Azov Kiev Regiment. So this is estimated area where they stopped. So we do know that village of Vilny Pole is controlled by Ukrainian side, and also village of Timirika for sure. And based on our information, village of Zelena Pole is controlled by Russian side, and also Novopil is controlled by Russian side, and Novosilka. But at this point, they stopped. They didn't make any progress today. We see that there is active fighting, and we see that Ukrainian side managing to capture some prisoners of war. So that really means that the situation has stabilized here for now, at least. So let's keep and there are always attacks on stronghold Ghulyai-Pole, but there is no progress there as well. So this is this front line from the entire front line here, Zaporizhzhia front line from big picture perspective. As you can see, there are 4 main strongholds: Kamienske, Rykhiv, Ghulyai-Pole, and Velika Novosilka. And then, as you can see, this is where the Russian troops made a dent in Ukrainian defenses and pushed them a little bit towards the north. And this is their southern pincer in their attempt to encircle Ukrainian troops in the Donbass salient. So this is just an attempt to push there to the north. Okay, so now let's continue. Just brief mentioning about the Mariupol situation is obviously desperate there for Ukrainian defenses, and doesn't seem that they will be able to hold, for a while, probably, another 3-4 days, and it's going to be over, maybe 5 if miracle happens. And at this point, Ukrainian armies just doesn't have resources, doesn't have the strength to help Ukrainian defenders in Mariupol. And what we mean is there is still, Russian superiority in the air, and this area here is flat as a table. Like as we discussed yesterday, we mentioned this whole southern part of Ukraine. It's kind of like this whole area is called steppe, which means it's just very flat, and it used to have like tall grass basically, and then it was switched to agricultural fields, so which still kind of makes it the same. It's very flat. It's a little bit better now since there is a little bit more greenery, but it's really marginal help, and it really doesn't solve the problem specifically in this area because there are almost no trees here in this area. So for that reason, this area is super extremely hard for Ukrainian army to attack, and not to mention other problems that plague Ukrainian command and organizational system, which makes it even more impossible. So let's look at the Kherson bridgehead, which is stable as always. Nothing here, as we mentioned before. Russian army here on a strategic defensive. They sort of satisfied with what they gained so far, and specifically this vital channel with the fresh water that takes fresh water from Dnipro River and brings it to Crimea. So at this point, they're sort of happy with what they have, and they need resources elsewhere. So this is just kind of the strong defensive position here, and there's no immediate plans for the Russian side to move out of this bridgehead further. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow, bye bye.